Good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming. This is us, Corey and Giselle. Corey is a white guy born and raised in Edmonton with a complete family and middle class upbringing. Myself, I'm an orphan girl from a mining village in the Philippines, moved to Canada as a teenager, and bounced around different homes. The sexual assault incidents happened during my final year of high school in the Philippines. That same year, in August 2007, I moved to Canada. It was a rough year, and let's just say there were not enough supports for me during this challenging time. When you date a sexual assault survivor, disclosure will not come immediately. It took me 2 years since we started dating for me to feel safe enough to disclose as much detail as I can. It was a risk. I even told him he can break up with me afterwards. If you are the lucky one who actually had sex education in school, because not everyone does, you might have to be the one to explain terms and concepts to your partner who experienced sexual assault. If you do this, be informative and not judgmental in your approach. In his case, he quoted to me the specific Criminal Code of Canada section that outlined the definition of sexual assault. He made it clear to me that he knows what happened to me is sexual assault, full stop. Also, it is very important for your partner to actually feel that you believe them. If the environment they grew up in did not quite believe in sexual assault, if the culture and the people surrounding them did not quite believe it either, as the loved one, your reaction will make a significant impact. If there are other causes of trauma, things can get complicated. As mentioned earlier, I'm an orphan, which impacts my outlook in life in good and bad ways. But with time, patience, and support, these issues can be worked through simultaneously. In my case, I had a difficult time asking for help about anything, big or small. It comes both from having to be independent as a child due to losing my family and not getting the support I needed right away after I revealed I was being molested. If and when the perpetrator will be around, you need to have a plan. There was this trip to the Philippines visiting family where both the perpetrator and I will be in the same space. My partner made sure that the perpetrator would stay far away from me. Understanding the other complex issues that your loved one experienced is really important. In his case, by asking me and doing a lot of online research, he learned about the problematic family dynamics that I experienced that he himself did not go through. If or when they finally go to therapy, just be there for them. I went to therapy 2 years ago for about 8 months. And after every appointment, he's ready to welcome me at home with some cuddles and conversation. I called it follow-up therapy in bed. And speaking of bed, when you get intimate, if they say no, listen to them. If they want to change something, understand them and do it right away. Saying this takes a lot of courage. It usually means something is really scary or really painful. Your relationship can be the opportunity to realize that vulnerability is worth it, that you can be accepted for who you are, that sex, intimacy, and pleasure can go hand in hand, and that saying no is actually not a deal breaker. They're experimenting with the idea of consent, which wasn't there when they were assaulted. The question in their mind is, this time around, do I actually have a say? Will I get heard if I actually say something? So in the summer of 2010, just within our first couple dates, we had our first kiss in his car, and he actually asked, "Can I get the kiss goodnight?" I actually liked it. I liked being asked, being consulted, my input being valued. I learned that day and moving on that consent is sexy. Also, reproductive health tasks like seeing a doctor, STD testing, ultrasounds, these things are a big deal, and being comfortable to do these is a victory. Encourage and celebrate it, and be proactive with your own health as well. The survivor is primarily responsible for their healing and their journey. As the loved one, you're there for patience and comfort and support and a bit of push when needed, but in terms of timing and solutions, it needs to be at their own pace. The other thing to note is that the trauma is not a complete excuse for awful behavior. I'm glad that I was confronted within reason for my own immature reactions and poor decisions, and as a couple, we managed to talk it out, find solutions, and we came out stronger as a couple. So this last summer, after 9 years of dating, I proposed to him and he said yes. And we just had our wedding last month here in Edmonton. I'm so darn grateful for having him in my life and for supporting me in this challenging healing process. And this is my story. Other survivors and their partners might have a different process, and that's completely okay. We all want the same things anyways. Acceptance, being cared for, being cherished for who we are. Thank you for listening.